ready for them Chiefs? Y'all ready for them Chiefs?
Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel. It's your boy Gooch, aka The Talent, here with the very first episode of Talent Talk. This really is going to be a low-key kind of show. I'm going to do one where I'm going to have just a talk about the NFL. It won't be Chiefs-centric as most of our shows are. I think I'm going to touch on everything around the NFL. Just my view on a couple things going on in the NFL as a whole. For those of you that are new, I call myself the talent, not because I'm braggadocious, it's because my partners, Double A and Keys, I call those guys the smart ones. I am just the talent. Like a lot of our channel doesn't go without them. And so, yeah, I'm just going to be talking. It's not going to be a bunch of hot takes. It's not going to be any yelling, screaming, or anything. I might end up trying to debunk some things that I see online. Just, whatever we're feeling that day. So the reason why there's no video today is because I have been traveling and I'm finally back in the Midwest. But I'm back in the Midwest in basically May. It's been about 2 years since I've been permanently here in the Midwest, and allergy season. So my eyes are red and puffy, and I just, not the best face that I'd want to put on the vid. So that's why there's no vid on this one. But I promise as I get reacclimated to the Midwest, as I'm getting other things accomplished, there will be video of the talent, I assure you. Sit back, relax, and I'm going to get started with an old topic, just because I've had some time to kind of sit on it after the Chiefs draft and thought about it. I wanted to discuss Eric Bieniemy and his ability to not get a head coaching job. And all across national media, you heard the same narrative. It was, it's because he's black and this is unacceptable. You've got all these white guys that haven't called plays for Andy Reid, yet they got head coaches. And look what Bieniemy has done. He's had all these interviews. And I'm not one, maybe I should put out there that I'm the person in this channel that wants to smoke. And so you're probably not going to agree with a lot of my takes. And this one probably is going to hit a little harder. But the one thing that Eric Bieniemy has that those other coaches that have worked for Andy Reid, or the other white coaches across the league that have gotten head coaching jobs before Andy Reid, before Eric Bieniemy, the one thing that Eric Bieniemy has that the rest of them don't have is a police record. Now, obviously, I didn't jump into every single coach that's been hired in front of Eric Bieniemy into theirs, but I can tell you that Matt Nagy and Doug Peterson don't have one. And you're like, oh, Bryan, police record, that's, everybody eventually gets one, right? I don't know. But I can give you some of the charges that he was hit with. In 1990, he pled no contest to shoving a firefighter who was showing up trying to do his job. In 1993, he grabbed a female parking attendant at the Colorado University, grabbed her by the neck, and threatened her and said a bunch of black guys could be her worst nightmare if he wanted it to be. And then in 1990, he got into a drunken bar fight while he was still a coach in Colorado. So obviously, getting drunk, getting into a fight, that's not a big deal. But you grabbed a female parking attendant and threatened her. Basically, you can read between the lines when it's a bunch of black guys could be your worst nightmare. He did plead no contest to that too, by the way. So I want you to think about this. I want you to really sit back and I want you to think. the value of NFL franchises, the lowest one you're going to find is the Cincinnati Bengals at $3 billion. That's billion with a B. And if I'm going to hire you as my head coach, I have to assume that these questions are going to come up in an introductory press conference because they're going to ask, did we talk about it? So either A, he's not talking about it because he feels like he's too good for that. The problem is sometimes your past dictates your future. And if you can't show that you're over it or have a logical reason or explanation or anything, how can I ask you to run my franchise? Maybe he doesn't want to talk about it. Maybe it's just a bad interview, which I refuse to believe. But that's my take on it. If you're not willing to answer questions about, people answer those questions all the time. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just, are you a felon? Have you been convicted of this? Tell us about that. That's on the simplest job application. Anyway, I love Eric Bieniemy. I think he's a cool cat. He looks cool. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, in my opinion, it's probably one of the big reasons why he doesn't have a head coaching job yet. The next thing I wanted to talk about before we get out of here is Patrick Mahomes' contract. Everybody's talking about it. Patrick Mahomes is criminally underpaid, Mike Florio says. The Chiefs are taking advantage of the fact that he's a nice guy. All this is really clickbait, and I'm going to jump into it, and we're going to talk about it. Now, first thing I want to hit is that graph. For those of you that saw that showed that, Mahomes only got $63 million in the first 3 years. What Florio left out is that 63 was guaranteed at the moment of signing. It wasn't a $10 million signing bonus for sure, but that 63 was all guaranteed at signing. And then after the second year, it basically went up to like $104 million. But what they're leaving that out because everybody else has the actual first 3 years of cash flow. You know what? I'm going to dig into it. I'm going to break it down because how about those Chiefs? Please go subscribe to him if you haven't. He did a little short on it where he was talking about it and was, telling that smarmy nerd, Mike Florio, to stay in his lane. I'm going to do – he does a lot of Chiefs content, and I feel like I can dig into this because I've got nothing but time, and you know me, I want the smoke. So Mahomes' contract is basically, when he signed it, it was 10 years, $450 million. It included $141.48 million in guarantees. Okay. All right. So the deal officially is a 10-year, $450 million extension to his rookie deal and his fifth-year option. So basically, 12 years, $477.6 million with incentives, Super Bowl, AFC Championship wins, to where he could top $500 million. I think it ends up at 512. All right, so the contract is convoluted in terms of guarantees. 141.48 is the guarantees is only encompasses the first 5 years. But the rolling guarantees in the deal extend through the end of the contract. So what I mean when I say the rolling guarantees, let's break that down, and I'm going to get into it. So in 2023, on the third day of the league year, his 2025 roster bonus and workout bonus becomes fully guaranteed. So this year, the third day of the new league year, his 2025 roster bonus and workout bonus is guaranteed, which means 2025, that's $38.9 million with a $550,000 workout bonus. Okay. And next year, his 2025 salary workout bonus becomes fully guaranteed so on and so forth, to where it runs out the next year. So we've talked, and I'm going to break it down in layman's terms, rolling guarantees and guarantee mechanisms. Let me tell you what this means. Basically, what Mahomes did, him and his agent, is he has a de facto style baseball contract where there are buyouts in the contract that make it costly for the Chiefs to get out of the deal. What do you mean by that, Bryan? Well, I'll tell you. And we're going to start from the time that he signed the contract, basically. Well, not the time he signed it, but I'm going to go back a few years, just a couple years, and I'm going to give you an idea what I mean. In 2021, on the third day of the league year, the Chiefs could pay Mahomes $52.25 million to get out of the deal. If they decided on the third day of the league, if Mahomes made it to the fourth day of the league year, his $40.45 million becomes guaranteed. See, the genius of this contract is there's no post-June 1st cut for Mahomes, because the third day of the league year, the money becomes guaranteed. Okay? Keep up with me now. Last year, on the third day of 2022, the Chiefs could have cut Mahomes a check. Now, you don't even hear this. Like, you don't hear, like, people get cut, right? NFL players get cut. There's no money. This is the genius in Mahomes' contract. 2022, they could have cut Mahomes a check for $70 million and been done with the deal. On the fourth day of the league year, $38 million becomes guaranteed. This year, the Chiefs could have cut him a check for $78.4 million and got out of the contract. But because they didn't, $38.9 million becomes guaranteed. Next year, they could cut him a check for $76.85 million to get out of the deal. If not, then he gets another $3 million guaranteed. And I'm working my way up, right? And I'm going to get to the good parts here in just a minute. 2025, they could cut him a check for $42 million. If they don't, on the fourth day, $39 million becomes guaranteed. 2026, they could cut him a check for $50 million to get out of the deal. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me get this right. 2026, his $49.4 million roster bonus for 2027 becomes guaranteed. And I'm going to tell you what that means right now. But check it out. If they cut Patrick after 2026, right? I mean, let's assume he's going to make it 3 more years. If they cut him after 2026, he'll have had a 5-year, $247 million extension. If you look at it, what did Deshaun get? 5 years, 230, fully guaranteed? The only difference is Mahomes played it out to where if the Chiefs wanted out of the deal, 1, they'd have to pay him an exorbitant amount of money, and 2, all his stuff is guaranteed a year in advance. So in 2026, he basically would have gotten 5 years, $247 million. All of it in his pocket, all of it guaranteed. If they don't, and he hits free agency at 31, imagine that. 5 years, $247 million, and you're a free agent at 31 if the Chiefs want to cut you. Picture that, right? If they don't cut Patrick after 2026, they have to guarantee another $55 million. If he's on the team after that, on the third day of 2027, they have to pay him a $49.4 million roster bonus on the fourth day, separate from the $55 million guaranteed. So you're looking at $103 million in 2027. And if they did that, it basically locks in the $250 million for the last 5 years of the deal. Now, obviously, we're not going to get to that whole 10 because the Chiefs are going to try and do right because, even though Mahomes did him that contract, the salary cap's continuing to go up. They can do this contract again with the same mechanisms in them to give the Chiefs room to give cap relief and keep a good team around Mahomes, because really that's all he cares about. But the one thing I really just wanted to throw out there is Mahomes is probably the most disrespected superstar quarterback ever in the history of the NFL. Florio says he's gullible and naive and he's a nice guy, but he doesn't tell you all the stuff that I just told you about Mahomes' contract. He shows you that 63 and doesn't tell you, oh, that's really 103 because that 63 was guaranteed to him initially when he signed. So really all you got was 1 year with the 63 mil, but that's Florio. It's clickbait. It's what they want you to see, because the best player in the sport is getting all the attention. Oh, he should be the highest paid on this list. I don't disagree that he should be the highest paid quarterback in the league. But Mahomes at 27, I'm sorry. Mahomes at 27 and his financial team are smarter than me, Florio, and anybody else. Because for me, when I read over the guarantee mechanisms and the fact that everything for the next year becomes guaranteed the year before, and the fact that you have it set up that it's guaranteed on the third day of the league year, which means you can't post June 1st cut him, because then his money's guaranteed, which all it does is hurt your team if you try to cut him. I think it's brilliant. Anyway, put down in the comments anything you'd like for me to talk about. I'll bring it up if you have any questions. I'll even answer questions. You know what I'm saying? Throw something down in the comments. Let's chat. This has been The Talent. I've done all the talking. See you in the next one.
You got your team, and we got a kingdom. Ready